25th, 2013 meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. John Lightfoot. Here. Mr. McCann. Here. Mr. Michike. Here. Mr. Morelli. Here. Chairman Rocco.
Here. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There's not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee? Okay. Our next item on the agenda is a presentation by Robert Franklin, Chief Financial Officer, who is here to present the 2014 proposed Monroe County budget.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Well, good evening, everybody. I'd like to give you just a real quick overview of the county budget, just to provide a broader context for the discussions we'll be having. These are, and as a preface, I'm just going to make a brief number of comments. This is a pretty short presentation. Afterwards, all the work will get done over the table where we can field questions and provide answers. Monroe County's budget, operating budget going into 2014 is just about $1 billion, just a hair over. It's roughly $3.8 million less than our operating budget for 2013. Some of those costs have been shifted over to grants, almost in an equal amount. Our grant budget is up in 2014, about $4 million compared to 2013. So overall, our combined operating grant is pretty much where it was compared to 2013, only a $200,000 increase. I'd also like to comment that our 2014 budget complies with both the Taxpayer Protection Act that was passed in 2007 and our underlying tax levy complies with New York State's tax cap legislation. Our Department of Planning and Development provides a number of roles for the county, coordinating a broad range of programs that focus on job retention and creation, employment, the land use planning and resource conservation, and housing and neighborhood preservation. This planning department integrates their services with economic and community development activities in partnership with other entities, including local governments, for-profit, and even private entities. I would say, just real quick, from my experience in the Department of Human Services, it's amazing just how much the Department of Planning does with a relatively short staff. And the services they deliver, we were able to integrate in with Human Services around the job development, training, and neighborhood community development quite nicely. Their planning services, I'm sorry I'm reading these to you, but just real quick, planning services provides a community with information and mapping, technical advice, project review. Their economic development activities are focused on creating jobs for local businesses. They have a number of incentive programs they run. And they also approve projects that create investment in the community. Their community development programs include housing rehabilitation, different public work projects, and other facilities projects in our neighboring towns and villages. And in terms of workforce development, they identify both current and future employment opportunities by working with local employers and the college community. From a budget dollars and cents perspective, planning's total appropriation are almost $2.2 million. It's down a little bit from 2013, $2.3 million. I will point out it's not a clean apples to apples comparison. The 2013 amended budget would include any grants received and appropriated by this legislature throughout the year, whereas in 2014 those grants haven't come before the legislative body yet. The revenues commensurate with the decrease in total appropriations, which resulted in net county support of not quite $900,000, which is a little bit higher than what it was in 2013. They have 4 major divisions: planning, economic development, community development, and workforce development. That's it. Those dollar amounts you're going to see in the detail budget before you, quite a number of ups and downs, but overall not too far off from those division appropriations last year. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Before I open this up to the floor, I'd like to remind the committee members that when we're addressing the administration and the budget director, that we keep this towards the planning department, keep questions related to the planning department with regards to community development, economic development, industrial development, cultural district, tourism, job training programs. Let's try to keep on track. Is there any questions from the floor? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Legislator Lightfoot.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, I was reading the budget. I read some things. I just want to inform the administration that I did read it all. And I also did a analysis on personnel, and I didn't see any changes except for the creation of a business development manager. And through you, Mr. Chairman, will the administration tell us a little bit about this new position being created and how it affects our budget?
Through the chair, Judy Seil, the Director of Planning and Development. Through the chair, there's been increased activity in a number of fronts in economic development, including increased activity in our foreign trade zone program. As many of you know, the county is the grantee for the foreign trade zone. Certain changes made to that program have improved the overall approval process of the program. Our neighboring counties are also applying for foreign trade zone status as a result of that, because it is easier for companies to enter a foreign trade zone. So we've had increased activities, including approvals for Century Safe, Firth Rixson, and interested parties, Complimar, American Packaging, and the Eastman Business Park. As we all know, Governor Como has taken the Eastman Business Park as an integral part of economic development in Monroe County. So we are creating this position to allow for increased development for the foreign trade zone and other economic development programs. And it will be offset by the increased activity from the companies that will be investing in our community.
Thank you again. Thank you for that. I would just like to say that you did go into an additional question that I had regarding our Monroe County Foreign Trade Zone, Mr. Chairman. And so I thank the administration for that. I do want to report that since 2009, I have seen a decrease in the cost for personnel. So I want to commend the administration on that. I also saw that the 2012 objectives were pretty much in line and reflected as accomplishments. I just wanted to make that comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Further questions? Legislator Morelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, I'd like to talk about the Economic Development Office. This has a net county cost of $85,388. I was wondering, since COMIDA certainly has millions of dollars, is there a reason that we don't increase the COMIDA funding to cover the $85,000 through you to the administration?
Through the chair, the amount paid by the comita takes care of the actual cost of operating the office.
So then, through you, Mr. Chairman, what is then the $85,000?
The rent of $60,000, the phones and postage of $25,000, and the staff time of $179,000 is covered by the contribution of the IDA. In addition, there's money from the Industrial Development Corporation that was raised from $65,000 to $90,000 this year.
I'm having trouble understanding. The $85,000 through you, Mr. Chairman, covers the cost, the net cost to the county, but Comida does cover the cost? Is that what you're saying?
The county itself has its own economic development activities that is covered by the budget.
Okay, so for my clarification through you, Mr. Chairman, it is separate from that of Comida.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, couple of other quick questions. On page 207 of the 2013 budget, a goal was set for MCSC to continue to partner with Visit Rochester in attracting new visitors and events to Monroe County. I'd just like to know what has been done to continue this partnership. Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, in 2012, there were 62 events that were covered by Monroe County Sports Development Corporation. In 2013, not including the PGA, there were 81 events that resulted in 30,000 hotel rooms. That's not in conjunction with the PGA. And already to date in 2014, they have booked 61 events before the year has even started.
It's fair to say that things are going well with Visit Rochester. Thank you. And finally, again, going back to the 2013 budget, it was a goal to, was set to work with Greater Rochester International Airport to secure additional low-cost carriers. And I'd just like to know what has been done to secure additional low-cost carriers moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, our Director of Aviation has left, but I do know, since I sit on the authority board, they were successful in recruiting Southwest Airline to Rochester. It was actually a very significant feat. There were quite a number of AirTran airports. Only 19 of those remained Southwest. So we were one of 19 airports across the country to retain Southwest after they merged or purchased AirTran.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, has there been additional conversations with other low-cost carriers to bring them to Rochester to continue to provide low-cost services?
Mr. Chairman, I guess the answer is yes. I hate putting words in the airport director's mouth, especially when he's not sitting at the table. But I know, because I sit on the board, the number of employments and the airlines, those that are signatory and non-signatory, are evaluated on a monthly basis, and they are always reaching out to expand those relationships.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussions pertaining to the budget? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the July 29th, 2013 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Is there any other matters to come before this committee? There being no other matters, the November 25th, 2013 meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Planning and Economic Development Committee will be held on December 16th, 2013.